Hi friends, let us welcome back to our channel, that is Point Out. So in the last class we have discussed about the parliament, that is the law making system. So today we are going to the new chapter, that is judiciary. Okay, but before going to that, let us revise the last topic. So in the last topic we have discussed about law. So we defined the topic law. So law is nothing but set of rules and regulations. Set of rules and regulations. They are set by the state. Okay, they are set by the state. So it says that what to do and what not to do. We have seen with an example, that is traffic headlight. So while we are traveling, if the traffic headlight, if red light glows, we need to stop. If the green light glows, we need to continue our journey. Or else they are going to punish through penalty. So this is nothing but the law. Okay, this is nothing but the law. Then further we have discussed about how laws are made. How laws are made. So we have seen through an example, okay, that is domestic violence. Domestic violence. So domestic violence says that if woman or a female, if she was tortured or if she was physically beaten up or either she was abused either physically or sexually or economically or for the sake of dowry by the husband or mother-in-law or father-in-law, if they punish them, so it comes under the domestic violence. And this is the issue around 1990. So now let's see the process. Let's see the process. First, conflict is arised, that is domestic violence. Conflict is arised, domestic violence. First process is at 1990. So many people were started raising voice against this domestic violence from the many house, every house in our India, from each and every village, every city, every town, each and every nearly every house, the voices came, that is against the domestic violence. Okay, so this conflict was reached to the parliament through many ways, such as first one is people to protest. Okay, they raised their voice, they questioned and they protested. This is the first thing. Next, newspapers, social media, through radios, and the lawyers, students, advocates, activists. So they combined together their voice, they raised their voice and they sent this conflict to the parliament. Okay, and at 1999 it was happened. In 2002, it was this bill was introduced into the parliament. Then after several discussions at Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, through many consultations, by analyzing the positives and negatives, through the support, the bill was passed to the president. Then after the assent or signature of the president, it came into law at 2005. Okay, at 2005. So at 2002, introduced to the parliament. At 2005, it became into a law, and at 2006, it was enforced. Enforced. That is protection and prohibition. Protection and prohibition of domestic violence. Domestic violence. So this is the process we have seen, how conflict are issued through parliament, law is made to resolve the conflict. Further, we have studied about non-popular but controversial laws. Okay, non-popular and controversial laws. Non-popular and controversial laws. So we have seen through an example. So at municipal communities, they want the empty spaces. Okay. So for that, that issue was sent to the parliament. Through parliament, law was passed. That is, at municipalities, prohibition of havacking. Havacking means they sell their raw materials through shouting. Okay. So they restricted havacking and vegetable vendors or small shops or markets. So they prohibited placing at such municipality places. Okay, this is the law. Law was introduced at parliament, but this law was exploiting the livelihood of peoples. So vegetable vendors are hawakings. So the major economy income source will be so selling of such materials at the cheap places, and they providing for the large group of people. They are providing service to the large group of people, and their livelihood will be dependent on it. Okay, so the major source for them will be that. So these people were, to make it space empty, they were stealing the livelihood of the people. Okay, to make something good, they are exploiting the livelihood of the people. So because of this, so from the people there is so much of resistance, so much of retaliation and criticization. So even though law was implemented, so they were restricted to follow. So this is why the law became unpopular and controversial. Okay, so this is all about the last class. So today we are moving to the new chapter, that is Judiciary. So Judiciary, fourth chapter, Judiciary. So before going to start this lesson, let us think, or if you know the answer, comment it down. So what is judiciary and what's the essence of it? This is the first question. What is judiciary and what's the essence of it? And the second question is, why all the people call judiciary will be the guardian for democratic. Guardian for the democratic. Next, the third one will be the hypothetical question. Okay. So let us assume that you have a land, and your land was, you have a dispute your land with your neighbors. Okay. So the war is taken between you both people. So you are physically beaten up. Okay. So now what will you do? Whether you go to the police station and register the case against him by filing FIR, or else will you go to the court and file a petition such that regarding land. So will you on the civil law, what will you do? So whether you go to the police station or court. So this is the situation. So for all these three questions, we will get the answers at the end of this video. So try to listen. Okay. So the first topic is judiciary. So role of judiciary. Role of Judiciary. So judiciary will resolve the conflicts and issues, resolve the conflicts and issues. For example, if a teacher beaten a student, or else if a child forced to work, or a child marriage act, or a dowry case. So in all such cases, judiciary will involve and resolve such cases. Okay. Now let us see the major roles. The first one will be dispute resolution. So dispute resolution nothing but the conflict between two citizens, or the conflict between the citizen and the state, or else if the conflict between the state and state, or else if the conflict between the state and central government. So in all such cases comes under the dispute resolution, and it resolved by the court. Resolved by the court. So citizen versus citizen, or citizen versus a state, or else state versus state, or state versus central. So these were the conflicts. If the conflicts are arised, so these are resolved by court. So this is the first role. So now let's see with an example. So majorly state versus state conflicts are arised because of the sharing of water. The best example will be Telangana versus Andhra Pradesh regarding the dispute of water. Okay, this is the one. Next one will be state versus central. Best example will be, so at central BJP will be the government. So they introduced the 3-law policy, but it was not accepted by the state. So here is the conflict arised between the state and central. Okay. So water dispute will be the best example for the state versus state. And for the state versus central, 3-language policy. And UCC will be also another example. So this is the first role of judiciary. Next, second role will be, so it will so now let's see second one, that is judiciary review. Judiciary review. So as a role of judiciary, So judiciary review says that So if any law introduced by the parliament, if it violates the fundamental rights of the citizens, or else if it violates the basic structure of the constitution, if it violates the fundamental rights or else basic structure of constitution, then court will involve, judiciary system will involve, and strike down of that law will be takes place. Strike down. So this is nothing but judiciary review. So let's see with an example. Suppose your state government introduced a law such that if anyone raise their voice or question the government regarding any laws or policies or schemes, if they ask, directly they were sentenced to jail. Okay, directly sentenced to jail if they introduce such law. So what will you do? So then judiciary system will involve. Okay, so judiciary system will involve and it will strike down that law because it breaks your fundamental right. So it breaks your fundamental right, that is right to freedom of expression. Right to freedom of expression. So because of this it will strike down. So this process is nothing but judiciary review. Okay, note it down, friends. Next, third one will be upholding and enforcement of laws. Upholding and enforcement of laws. So for the judiciary wanted to check whether each and every citizen will getting fundamental rights or not. If they break, then citizens will went to the judiciary and judiciary will resolve such conflicts or issues. According to this textbook, so Sheikh Hasim, a farmer, so he was traveling on a train. Unexpectedly he fallen from a train. So because of that he was severely injured and there is a scope still to survive. Okay, so family members of that person took him to hospital, but they were not admitted, saying the different reasons, saying that Sheikh Hasim severely injured so because of non-availability of beds, because seriousness of the person, so they are not admitted. So because of such situation, so because of not admitting into a hospital, he was died. Okay, so family members of Sheikh Hasim filed a petition on regarding this issue on Supreme Court. Then Supreme Court said that so right to life is the basic fundamental right and right to health also included in it. So because of carelessness of the hospitality, he was died. So the government should wanted to pay compensation for that person, and further they should wanted to implement that law. So this was suggested by the Supreme Court based on the right to life. Also it consists of right to health, so they provided the compensation by the state and recommended, suggested to introduce a law. So this is all about the role of judiciary. It will solve the conflicts or disputes. Further, it will try to implement the laws. If they violate, it will strike down the laws. Okay, so this is the role of judiciary. Now let us see. So why judiciary wanted to be independent? What is the essence of it? Okay, why judiciary wanted to be independent? What's the essence of it? So now let us consider another hypothetical question. So your family and a politician personality or a business personality have a conflict or issue regarding land. So they are trying to encroach your land. What will you do? Obviously you went to the either police station. Further you will file a petition against them on Supreme Court with respect to the civil law. But what happens background? So because of the political power, because of the financial power, so they try to take control of judiciary into their hands. Because of that power, they try to remove the judiciary. They try to fluctuate the judiciary. They try to replace the judiciary. Okay. So because of that fear, so because of political and financial power, so they try to fluctuate the judiciary. So the judges will fluctuate judiciary, and the judges will also support the politicians even at the cost of death of the truth too. Okay, because for their livelihood. So this is happens. So they will take the advantage. So to eradicate this, so completely separated of power taken place. So judiciary and legislature and executive, so completely separated. Okay. So judiciary and executive and legislature, they are completely separated. So such that free and fair trial will get for each and every individual irrespective of discrimination. Okay, so this is the first one. So why judiciary should wanted to be independent. Next let us see the second major reason. So first reason, to get free and fair trade for each and everyone without discriminating. Next, second one will be, so it will act like a check and balance between legislature and executive. Okay, if legislature or executive misuse their power, if they misuse their power, so judiciary will involve, interrupt, and it will prohibit such usage of power. Another next reason will be, so fundamental rights, its main duty. So it wanted to check whether the fundamental rights of citizens are properly following or not. If any citizen consider the code regarding the violation of fundamental rights, it wanted to resolve. Okay. Second one will be check. It will check and it will establish a balance between legislature and executive. So this is the main work of judiciary. So this is all about today's class, friends. So thank you.